Hello, friends. How are you doing today? And most welcome to my command center. And today we want to discuss about dark matter. I think by now all of us have a good understanding of what is dark matter. Dark matter is basically something which we cannot see, we cannot observe, we cannot feel. And it's sort of omnipresent. But we know that there is dark matter in the universe, but at the same time we have not been able to identify what causes, or is there a particle which creates dark matter. We know that dark matter is responsible for the excess gravity that we need, and dark matter is more than the at least 5 times more than the matter that we see around, or maybe 10 times more. We don't know. So since we don't have any mechanism to understand, to study the dark matter, still it is called dark matter because we don't know what it is made of, and why there is dark matter, and what are the processes which are involved in creation of dark matter. But I think that is a thorough understanding most of us have today. But in this live stream, I would like to tell you that there could be indirect evidence of reading the dark matter, and scientists have recently found one candidate for studying this particular phenomena, and that is basically called. Basically, the information is coming from studying when the scientists basically focus their telescopes and machinery on this particular giant galaxy cluster called Abell 611. So today I will only talk about that particular finding by the scientist, and we are live, so if you have any questions, feel free to share your questions, your comments, your suggestions on this particular subject. So in the Abell 611 is comprising of several galaxies, very large galaxies, as you can see. And this is the artist rendering of the cluster, and wherever you see these bright spots is where the matter is, and wherever you see this blue shaded area is the dark matter. Well, actually we cannot see the dark matter because dark matter does not emit any kind of radiation, not even x-rays, no gamma rays, etc. There is absolutely nothing coming out of the dark matter. So if there is nothing coming out of the dark matter, it means that we cannot observe it. But we know that it is there because it creates excess gravity. So I don't want to repeat the old story that in 1920 this is how we found that there is some extra matter but we cannot see. So the search is on, and this is one thing which has been recently seen by the scientists, proving that there is excess matter, and that could be the dark matter. And this is while studying this galaxy cluster, Abell 611. And just before I move forward, I would like to also explain that the galaxy cluster is a cluster of galaxies. First of all, galaxy itself is a very huge place. It's a huge place. It is into hundreds and thousands of light years in width. The cluster is humongous because it will have multiple galaxies. So while studying this particular galaxy cluster, scientists were able to deduce that there is a lot of dark matter in this cluster. And since dark matter, as I said, does not give off any light, we cannot see it, we cannot feel it, we cannot touch it, smell it, or any sort of interactions. So there is no way to really say that, okay, now this is the dark matter, this is a particle which is proton and it is dark matter. There is no way like that. So dark matter is still a mystery, but we know that the dark matter creates a filament structure in our space. So after the Big Bang, most of the dark matter which exists even today creates these filaments, and wherever there is more dark matter, it actually helps concentrate the matter, and thus forming galaxies, stars, black holes, etc. Even black hole is made of dark matter. So considering this hypothesis, dark matter is primarily responsible for creating galaxies. I mean, if you in nutshell, because it creates the gravity, and since it creates the gravity, it starts to bring things together. And when the matter started to falling into each other, it creates galaxies, stars, planets, you and me. So everything is basically being propelled by dark matter. Yet we cannot see. It's a big mystery what it is made of. So while studying Abell 611, which is a galaxy cluster, and it's very far off, it's almost 3.2 billion light years from us. It's quite far off, and since it is quite heavy cluster, that means it has a lot of galaxies and a lot of material in it, and therefore there's a lot of dark matter. And one of the methods of basically seeing and understanding dark matter is basically using first of all, ascertaining how much mass this cluster has. At the same time, if it is actually showing something called gravitational lensing. So anything which is behind the cluster and the light is coming from behind the cluster, and if you are able to see that particular object which is behind this cluster, is basically because the gravity of this cluster will impact the light which is coming from behind the cluster. Ideally, we should not be seeing that object which is hidden by this cluster, but since it has a lot of gravity, the light which is coming from the cluster towards us will be bent, and that is called gravitational lensing, and then we will be suddenly or miraculously start seeing the object which is hidden by this cluster. So looking at that, scientists are able to ascertain that there could be dark matter responsible for bringing this whole cluster together. Now, as I said, the dark matter is also not the most prominent thing in our universe. It is a dark energy. We comprise of 68% of the universe, and we don't have any clue what this dark matter is made of. And first of all, we don't know what is dark matter, and then what is causing the dark energy also. There is something which is complete secret to us, and we have no idea. What we see and what we are made of is only 5%, or slightly less than 5%, is like 4.9% of the universe. All the stars, all the galaxies, all the nebula, and all these structures in this space that we can actually see, things like atoms, are only less than 5%. So that means 95% of the space is still invisible to us, and what it contains we have no idea. So I think we are talking about dark matter, and I mean dark energy. We have no mechanism to understand dark energy at this point in time, but there is a lot of efforts are being made to basically isolate dark matter somehow and fill our periodic table to identify that, okay, now we found the dark matter. This is a particle which basically creates dark matter, and this is the characteristic, these are the properties of the dark matter. So far we have no idea what dark matter is, because it interacts only by exerting gravity. What are the other properties? We have no idea about dark matter. So as I was talking about the gravitational lensing, this is the if there is some object behind the big cluster like Abell 611, the gravitational lensing will help us see the light from a far off distant object, and it will basically behave like a large telescope, a convex telescope, and then it will allow us to basically see. So how much bending the light will have, or what is the effect of the gravity, we will be able to ascertain how much matter is there in that galaxy cluster. And we know that how much is the visible matter, because we can actually observe the visible matter and also see how many stars, how many galaxies, etc. And what is the deficit of that because of the lensing. You know how much lensing is happening to the photons of this particular light which is coming towards us from a far off object. We know the speed of the light is finite speed. We already know that. So by applying those formulas, we can actually ascertain if there is excess gravity and some matter which is not visible in that area, and hence we will get an evidence that okay, there is a lot of dark matter in that particular piece of space. So therefore, going back to our understanding of Abell, we have been able to detect that there has been a lot of dark matter because this galaxy cluster exert a lot of effect on the light which is approaching us from the objects which are sort of hidden by this large galaxy cluster. So it is a sort of a paradox, or it is something that that exists in our space. We have no understanding what it is. It's a mystery, yet we exist because of the existence of dark matter. So that is something which is like a unknown truth, and I think it's scientists are trying to understand this and trying very hard to basically reach to the to the depth of understanding what dark matter is. And after they have understood what dark matter is, probably we will start understanding what dark energy is. Maybe both of these things, dark matter and dark energy, are related to each other. So it's very important for us to understand what dark matter is, what causes this dark matter, why it exists. I think there are a lot of unanswered questions, but nevertheless, this is something which we have been able to confirm while studying Abell 611, that this galaxy cluster is formed because of large amounts of dark matter existing in the filament structure, and wherever there is high concentration, the large galaxies have been formed, and this galaxy cluster exert a lot of gravity in the surrounding areas. So friends, I think this is something which I wanted to talk today live, and if you have any suggestions, any comments, feel free to send in, and I will take up your questions tomorrow. So thanks for watching, and I will meet you in our science show again tomorrow at 12:30. Until then, I like to say goodbye, have a nice day, see you tomorrow.